pedestrian fatalities there have been. Last year was extremely bad in Anchorage for that. And this year is kind of on track to be normally bad, or a little bit worse. And that's obviously not okay if there's any bike or pedestrian deaths at all. So we saw that the 2021 Anchorage traffic report, I think is what it's called, came out, and that basically summarizes the crashes that happened in 2021. So we thought that might provide a basis for discussion. And I think, Joni, you were going to see if somebody could come talk to us about that in March, kind of give us an overview and maybe serve as a basis for discussion.
Yeah, so so we inquired with Kim Carpenter in our traffic department, and she was just coming back from a surgery, so she couldn't make it to tonight's meeting, but she said she was happy to come in March and present on that data. But I think as far as I just put out that, there's no reason why we can't have a BPAC discussion about the issue if you all wanted to, before she could make it to the meeting. So that's all. I didn't prepare any data or anything like that. Just put it out to the BPAC if they wanted to discuss.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to see that on the March agenda. Kind of the other aspect that I was thinking of in terms of addressing this problem is maybe digging back into Vision Zero. I know Anchorage had a Vision Zero action plan in, I think it was either 2018 or 2019, and I don't believe anything else has happened with that. So maybe that could also kind of serve as a foundation for what we see as what the next steps are. Some cities do things like they comprehensively go around and improve pedestrian crossings. So with bulb outs to make the crossing shorter, removing slip lanes where the slip lane is like an express right turn lane where drivers can turn right really fast without slowing down, which is really dangerous for pedestrians. And what else? I had a list of kind of measures like that where it's a relatively small improvement at any given location in terms of changing the infrastructure, but it can make a huge difference if that's implemented citywide. So those are just some thoughts that have been milling around in my head. I'd love to hear if anybody else has thoughts right now, or kind of what we could look for on our March agenda in terms of more information as well as maybe action, like seeing as we're the Bike Ped committee, it would seem appropriate for us to urge the rest of the committees to kind of do something about this and not just let things keep happening as they've been happening.
This is Daryl. I'm wondering if we, BPAC and AMATS could work together and facilitate, rather than just a presentation to the BPAC committee, have an open house, a public forum where there could be a presentation on the traffic, this 2021 report, and hear from the public, have a discussion around this issue. I agree, Emily. Seems like it's getting out of control in Anchorage. The bicycle and pedestrian safety. And I've lived in Fairview for 35 years, and some of the most dangerous intersections for bicyclists and pedestrians are consistently in my neighborhood. And I think it might behoove us as a committee to have some sort of a public forum to invite the public in to hear the presentation and to provide some feedback. I don't know what other members of the committee think about that idea.
Yeah, I'll let others chime in too, but I really like that idea, and maybe inviting members of the other AMATS committees, relevant folks from elsewhere in the Muni and DOT, and yeah, kind of make it like a work session or a mini retreat or summit on this issue.
I think Bike Anchorage, and I think there's a lot of organizations in Anchorage that would partner on this with us.
Definitely.
But I don't want to put it all onto staff, so perhaps, you know, Emily, if you're willing, you and I could, and Joni and Aaron over the next month or two, couple of months, could talk about this idea and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, I'm definitely willing.
So am I.
Great.
I'll buy lunch and we can talk about it.
Yeah, this sounds
Good.
really interesting, guys. Thank you.
And we could also figure out some way to tie it into the new safety plan that we're going to be starting here soon. So seems like opportune timing.
Perfect.
Yeah, it does.
Perfect. After the first of the year, let's get together and talk about it.
Okay, great. Daryl, do you want to be in charge of getting us together, or do you want me to do that since it's kind of my idea?
Well, if you would like to volunteer, I'd be happy to let you do it. If not, I can take the lead.
Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and put it on my calendar to get back in touch after the first of the year. And yeah, if anybody else is interested, let me know. Or I don't know, we just had that discussion about open public meetings. I don't know kind of where this falls with that, or if we need more formal notice. But yeah, I'll get back in touch with Daryl and Joni at least, and then we can go from there.
Perfect. Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Joni.
I think if the committee decides to have a discussion on ways to move forward, we could schedule a work session, and that will be recorded, and so that'll serve I think the needs of our Open Meetings Act. As long as we have a discussion and make it like a public meeting, others can listen to or join in if they want to.
Perfect. We can meet, the three of us, and have a little, you know, some advanced planning, and then have the work session to flesh out the details.
Sounds good.
Anything else on item A? All right, let's move on to the 2050 MTP.
All right, we have Chelsea Wardwaller here as our newest AMATS planner. Welcome, Chelsea. She's going to present to you guys on the MTP, and I'll turn off my camera here. And I'll stop sharing too. Or I don't know if Chelsea had any. Did you have a presentation? No. Okay.
No, you can leave it up if you want, Joni. It's fine.
Okay.
Either way, whatever makes the most sense. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everyone. Fun to see you in a different role. I'm sorry to not be part of the BPAC anymore, but glad to still be deeply involved in transportation work over on the AMAT staff and working hard on the MTP 2050, so our long range plan. If you haven't been involved in the process so far, the website is really easy. It's amats2050.com. I recommend you go check it out and just learn a little bit more about it. Basically, every several years, we put together one of these long range plans. It's a federal requirement, and it helps us sort of look to the future, what we want to see in terms of projects and what we're going to be prioritizing. And so right now we've received a bunch of nominations for projects, both complete streets projects or I guess not just both complete streets projects, non-motorized projects, as well as transit projects, and worked our way through scoring criteria for all of those. And now we're at the point of finalizing cost estimates, very rough cost estimates, knowing that these projects, as they come closer, will go to the tip and get more finessed in terms of the actual cost estimate. But our plan has to be financially constrained. So we have to have cost estimates to the projects in order for that to be possible. The technical advisory committee just heard about our financial analysis for the MTP last week, and then the policy committee will hear about it next week. So working through those in terms of what they think, is reasonable for our revenue that we might get between now and 2050, and that will allow us to decide how many projects will fit into that revenue dynamic. So yeah, working on sort of more of the items in the plan that are in flux, and then once those are more set, then we'll be able to pull the actual plan document together, and it will come back out to the public many more times. So you'll have plenty of opportunities to comment if you're interested in staying involved in that. We will make sure that you know about it. And I guess the only other thing I should mention is that the policy committee is also hearing about vision eval this coming week, which is a strategic planning portion of the 2050 MTP that's sort of going to be an overlay on the travel demand model. So it's the first time that we're doing anything like this, but sort of trying to figure out what are our high level goals and how can we use this vision eval strategic planning model to help sort of better understand how those big goals can influence what's going next. So we're still understanding it and learning about it. And it's one sort of layer of the multifaceted MTP. But it's really cool to be thinking about, you know, how can we bring more sort of strategic thinking into this big picture document and not just have sort of the same steps that we've always done, but make it more innovative and hopefully better reflect the interest and the views of the community. So that's something that we as staff have a relatively light touch on because we're letting the experts who are consultants work on. So if it sounds very ambiguous, that's because I'm still working on better understanding what it all means and how it's all going to make a difference. But it's just something that we're trying, and hopefully we'll see some good feedback from it this year this round as we're going through it. So I will stop there and happy to take questions.
Any questions for Chelsea? All right, thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
And now we'll move on to item C, the update on the AMAT's TSMO plan.
Great, and we have oh, there she is, Christine Schutte, the esteemed Christine Schutte from AMATS, here to present to us. Thank you, Christine.
Yeah. So I took over management of this plan from Erin probably in August. This is a new plan for AMATS. It's the TSMO, Transportation Systems Management and Operations. So TSMO plans look to target non-recurring congestion, which are momentary disruptions to our network, weather events, special events, crashes, work zone events, and instead of looking at purely capital improvement projects to solve these transportation needs, they could be partnerships, they could be just spot treatments, like pedestrian detection, bicycle and detection, crosswalk, signals. It could just be partnerships between the DOT, muni maintenance, and so it's kind of like it's an ongoing service instead of just a static project. The plan, we hope, will kind of help guide us in how we can incorporate these types of projects into our MTP and TIP process that we're already doing. Right in, if you follow the newsletter and you're subscribed to our email, there is an open house in September where we kind of introduce this concept. We will be coming to the transportation fair with the consultants are going to prepare area-specific strategies that they recommend that we implement, and that will be a place where the public can see those strategies and weigh in and maybe weigh in on particular project ideas. They took input from the MTP public process on identified needs and projects. They're going to review all those projects to see are there TSMO solutions to some of these identified concerns. And then after transportation forum, when they've taken in those that input as well, they'll come back to the stakeholder group with a list of projects, of recommended projects moving forward. And so that, yeah, so there's also a website which I will put in the chat unless you have, in case this is the first you're hearing about that, where we will, the consultants will always update with upcoming opportunities. And then there'll be a transportation fair will be the next time to kind of weigh in, and then there'll be the planning document coming in 2023.
Great, thank you, Christine. Does anyone have any questions for Christine? No questions? You guys fell asleep? Come on. No?
Let's move
Thank
on
you.
to, oh, did I hear a question?
Oh, no, I just said thank you.
All right, let's move on to item D, the update on the AMAT safety plan.
Okay, that's me. Yep, so the safety plan is so close to getting kicked off. We have just been doing our usual push to get through purchasing, and we have the contract ready to go into DocuSign. So we're going to send that off to the consultant, select a consultant again. The consultant is Burgess and Neipel. They are experts in safety planning for transportation agencies, and they're based in Washington, D.C. We're pretty excited to work with them. They have a lot of really cool ideas about how we can integrate safety into all of our plans and projects and programs. So super excited to work with them. They're also doing a bunch of innovative sort of techniques to integrate safety into other planning agencies. And then they've also helped other MPOs and cities develop plan goals and structures so that they can apply for more federal grants and have success achieving more grants in safety. So that's another thing we're looking forward to. But yeah, we hope to get that kicked off soon. And once that gets going, I'll send out an email to everyone. I'm sure we'll have a kickoff open house, something, so you guys can all get acquainted with and oriented with the plan. And like we talked about earlier, we can figure out how to work in some of the discussions earlier that Emily and Daryl and Lindsay were talking about. So that's the update on that. And that's all I have for the safety plan. So keep an eye out for that. Should be hearing about that fairly soon, within the next couple, 2-3 weeks.
All right, thank you, Joni. Any questions for Joni?
Just a quick comment that sounds great. And yeah, I hope the BPAC can be at that table, and slightly off topic, but I hope Bike Anchorage can be at that table as well.
Absolutely. Yes. Everyone will be invited. It'll be our typical public process. So we'll definitely have lots of outreach, lots of opportunities to comment, and multiple, surveys and things that we'll figure it out. We'll do a bunch of stuff. So whatever you guys want, we can do it.
Thanks.
And it seems like it dovetails nicely with the prioritizing safety and design discussion.
Exactly.
All right, thanks, Joni. Let's move on to agenda item E, the update on the AMAT's UMED plan.
Yeah, thank
John,
Go ahead.
sorry,
Sorry.
I'm introducing everyone. Everyone gets the grand entrance tonight. We have another esteemed planner from AMATS presenting to you tonight on the UMED plan. Yep, John Cecil, and he is our UMED expert, so he will be talking to you on the UMED planning process. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Joni, and thank you to the committee for inviting me back to give an update on the Destination UMED Transportation Demand Management Study. I believe I spoke with your committee earlier, and we've accomplished a lot since then. More recently, in early October, which now seems like a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago, we had our second site visit by the consultants, Nelson Nygaard as well as the project management team, and we met and had a community workshop that was hosted at UAA. And since that time, the consultants have been busy putting together their findings from that site visit and from the community discussion. That document is now on the webpage, the Destination UMED webpage, which I encourage you, if you haven't looked at it, check it out. And you can just Google Destination UMED and it should pop right up. In addition, I think we had, it was about 6 weeks, we had a survey, community-wide survey on how folks access the UMED district, by all modes, bike, pedestrian, transit, auto, you name it. And we got I think a really good response. There were 1,500 responses. And so the consultants have been crunching those numbers, and we're expecting to get those results this week. And as soon as they are available to the project management team to just review, we expect to have a week turnaround, and then we will have a final document ready for public distribution. That will then go on our webpage, Destination UMED. And so I'm looking forward to the results of that. And I think there'll be some great insights, hopefully, from the community on how they feel about UMED and how people are getting in and around that. In addition to the survey, the consultants put together a status report, a state of the system report, rather, and that document is also on the webpage, and it contains a lot of great data. Again, I encourage the committee members to check that out and take a look at it and see what you think. And going forward from this point, we are expecting to have a third site, well, it's not a site visit, but a third meeting with the Community Advisory Committee and a virtual workshop with the public. And that will be virtual in, I believe, February. And then after that, we're expecting to have a fourth committee meeting, community meeting, I believe in April, May-ish. So those details are being tweaked and figured out now before we get into as we move into the new year. So look forward to hearing more announcements about what's coming down the pike. And again, you can, if you want updates on the project, you can go to the webpage and sign up for updates. I encourage you to do that. And I think, let's see, I think that's about all I had. I would stand for any questions that anyone might have.
Any questions for John?
Well, if not, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions, you can always, contact me offline, phone, email. I'll be happy to chat with you about the project. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Staff is getting a pretty easy evening tonight. No hard.
I know. I can't believe it.
So with that, we'll go on to agenda item F, the update on any other AMATS planning projects.
Hi again. Yep, that's me. And so just a couple more projects that I wanted to let you guys know about that are in the hopper right now. We have recreational trails plan that we have funded in the TIP, and we're working with Parks and Recreation right now to get the TORA finalized. They are going to be leading this project for us. So there'll be two folks at Park, Steve and Nicolette, who will be helping us project manage. AMATS will be helping out as needed. So, but we are excited about this recreational trails plan. And so, like I mentioned, we're getting that underway right now in the Torah, and then as soon as that is approved, we can submit to purchasing. We have the RFP done. And so hoping to get that going sometime in the new year. So that's going to be really exciting. And that will replace the 1997 Trails Plan that's our last Trails Plan. So it's been quite a while. So it's definitely time for an update. So we're excited to get that going. The other one I was going to tell you guys about was the Complete Streets Plan, which also got approved in the TIP as well. So that one is going to take a little bit longer to obligate funding. So I believe that may be part of an amendment that's going through right now, and we will that'll be a little bit later. So it'll be sometime in 2023, but that's also in the hopper. So that'll be a good, it's our street typologies plan, but also a little bit broader now to encompass all of the complete streets elements that we've been trying to hit with AMAT. So those two are in the works, and we'll be letting you know as those move forward, what's going on with those. And then the last thing I wanted to say is our transportation fair is coming up. So keep your eyes out for that and come over to the transportation fair. AMETS will have a couple tables set out, and we'll be showcasing all the plans that you've heard Chelsea and Christine and John talk about today. So does anyone have any questions for me on those additional AMATS projects?
Yeah, Joni, this is John. Did you tell
Yeah.
folks what day the transportation fair is?
Oh yeah. No, I didn't. And that's because I didn't remember. What day is the transportation fair? It's in January. I know that. It's coming up soon, right?
It's the 12th.
January 12th.
January 12th. Okay. Excellent. And it's going to,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Interrupt. Does anybody have information on the time or location or kind of what's planning to be there? I haven't been able to find any information about it online.
So this is Mark Eisen with DOT. Last time I looked, I think it's from 3 to 7. It's going to be at the Alaska Center on UAA.
Yeah, I think there is a link earlier that we're trying to direct folks to, and that maybe that needed to be updated. That's I'm guessing it's probably been updated, right, Mark? It's probably showing the right day and location now on the DOT website.
Okay,
Yeah,
if somebody could put that in the chat, that'd be helpful, because when I Google it, the only one that comes up is from 2020.
This is Sean Baskey. Yeah, we're just working on updating the website right now. Right now, it's just got like the base template for it in there, but we've got to populate all the projects. We're just confirmed on the DOT side, our large list. Still working with the municipality of Anchorage to populate their list, and then the railroad and all the other organizations that are joining in.
Great. Well, thanks. Does anyone have any other questions on AMATS projects or any other questions for our group of presenters today?
This is Emily again. I'll try not to dominate, but I was wondering if you could provide maybe a little bit more detail about the complete streets part of the typology study that you mentioned and sort of what that might involve.
Yep. So originally we had scoped out a street typologies plan, which would basically be so right now we have a official streets and highways plan, which basically just has street classifications in it. So whether a street is a collector, an arterial, or a major minor collector, arterial, freeway, etc. And so what the street typologies plan was going to do was it was going to combine the street typology or the classification with what was happening around that street in terms of land use. So basically looking at, does the land use support that street classification? So if something's identified as a collector in our official streets and highways plan, does the surrounding land use support that designation, or do we need to rethink what that street maybe is classified as, or the design of that type of street? So the street typologies element goes into designating a different type street design for different street typologies. So you can have like a downtown street or a downtown quarter street, a mixed use street, a neighborhood collector street. So it basically goes a lot further than the classification and provides some design criteria and recommendations based on what the land use is doing around that type of street. And then, so that was our original intent. And then we, I think it was, and Aaron, I think is on the line, he can maybe speak to this a little bit too, but so what we also realized is that Federal Highways Administration is also wanting our MPOs to do complete streets plans and come up with a complete street checklist and implementation sort of plan as to how they're going to implement complete streets. And so since we already had the street typologies in the in a plan to do a street typologies plan, we Aaron thought it was a good idea to just combine the complete streets element in to get that into the plan. And then we'll also have in the street typologies plan a complete streets implementation plan. So to help us implement our complete streets policy, which we adopted, gosh, it's been several years now, but does that make sense? Or did I just confuse everyone? Probably.
That made a lot of sense to me. That was really helpful. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions on that one? Or and like I said, that one's going to be a ways off, probably not till sometime in 2023, you know, more like middle of the year to late when we can get that going. No? All righty. See, what do we, Daryl? So now we are ready for some committee comments.
Any comments from committee members?
Turn my camera off here.
Well, this is Emily again, but I just wanted to note that if you hadn't heard the good news, the parking reform measure that we had passed a resolution in support of was passed unanimously by the Assembly a couple weeks ago. They did end up downgrading the bike parking requirement a little bit, making less bike parking required for multifamily residential properties, but it's still a huge win for bike parking in terms of being a vast improvement over what we have currently, and as well as eliminating the car parking requirement, which will really help development, as well as kind of de-emphasizing cars as the default. So thanks again, everybody, for kind of coming together at the last minute to support that. And I'm excited to see that move forward.
And Anchorage got a nice shout out from America Walks after that code was implemented.
Yeah, there's been all kinds of national organizations saying, what the heck, Anchorage can do this? Why can't we do this? We're definitely at the forefront of a nationwide movement on that.
I think it's exciting. Any other comments from committee members? All right, we'll go to public comments, and I believe that Nancy Peace is on the line, and she had, I think, something she wanted to bring up.
Yes, thank you for allowing me to speak. I hope that you will vote to create a subcommittee and review the AMAT's draft tip amendment number 1. All the other advisory committees have or will review it, and I'm really hoping that you will do so. The amendment shifts around tens of millions of dollars in spending in the next 4 years, and the impacts are both immediate and enduring. and your bike and pedestrian constituency needs you to review it. So I know it's not before you. I was hoping it would be, but I'm going to give you a few, if you can take a few notes here. I'm hoping you will, and I'd be happy to follow up with you by sending written comments to you. On table 3, the non-motorized spending table, the trail pavement replacement program will be sharply decreased in order to fund new trails. The amendment takes 65% of the repair budget in 2023. It takes 50% of the repair budget the next year and 44% the third year in 2026. And there isn't any information available to the public to know what specific trails will remain in disrepair. So this is an area where your committee could dig in and find out what this means in terms of potholes and cracked pavements. And also, it'd be great if the Bike Ped Committee could pursue targets for the percent of trails in good repair. That exists in AMATs for roads, and it should exist for trails as well. So the pavement replacement program, that's one thing I hope you'll take a look at. We were talking about complete street plans a moment ago. There's a new project for A and C Street, but it's called an A-C Street corridor. Let's make it a complete street plan. So I hope you'll comment on that in table 4. Also in table 4, the AMAT's climate action plan is overdue and much needed. So that's a good thing that's in there. The main topic I hope you'll comment on in plans and studies is the non-motorized mapping inventory. So that's PLN 19. The Assembly and the Policy Committee both voted in support of complete mapping of undeveloped easements and rights of way that could serve as non-motorized connections. And AMAT staff have proposed to not map these non-motorized connections when they do their inventory. And that would effectively reverse the vote of the Policy Committee and the Assembly, who have voted to perform that mapping. AMAT staff has talked with the municipal right-of-way staff, but they've declined to talk with the public to find out the impediments and to find out why it's important to get this mapping done. Muni right-of-way staff has apparently told AMAT staff that they know where the easements are, but Muni staff don't all know, and AMAT staff don't all know, and the public doesn't know. And that means that existing easements can be built over, or there can be vacations of easements or variances that impede the easements. It also means that missing links may never be acquired during platting or roadway development. And I sent 6 different examples to AMAT staff, and they have not wanted to talk about it. So that's why I'm hoping this committee will be part of the dialogue. But just as one example, with Rabbit Creek Community Council, there's going to be a major upgrade, $35 million upgrade to Rabbit Creek Road. Design's going to start within the next few years. There are a number of easements that come right up to Rabbit Creek Road, but we need crossings. It's a 2-mile stretch of road. Traffic moves at about 50 to 55 miles an hour. And unless we have a map and we can sit the public down and say, look, we've got easements coming north and south. Is this a good place for a crossing? I just, it's hard to plan. It's hard to have the public and staff involved without good mapping. So I hope you'll comment on that project. And there's one more specific concern that I hope you'll take a look at, and that's the carbon reduction program funds. In table 1, you'll see that out of the 18 million in new carbon reduction program money, there's almost 3 million that's not being spent. And I'm not sure why we would be leaving any of that money on the table. And in addition, a big chunk of that carbon reduction money in the TIP amendment, over 1 million, is being allocated to realign the Campbell Tract facility driveway. That's the one that goes into BLM and the Camel Creek Science Center. They want to make a 4-way intersection with 68th Avenue. And that's good, but it's a $5 million project for a driveway alignment. And it's using over $1 million in carbon reduction money. And it's not clear that that would reduce auto emissions in any way. So I've given you about half a dozen specific reasons that I hope this committee will comment on the TIP amendment. And again, it shifts tens of millions of dollars around, and it has really enduring impacts. So the comment period is open till January 13th. I hope you'll discuss it. I hope you'll get your constituencies informed about it too. And I'm happy to have sent my written comments to Mr. Hess and to Emily, and I'm happy to send them to anyone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Could you please send your written comments to Joni and Aaron? Send them to staff, and then they could potentially distribute them to the committee.
Okay, I can do that. I'll ask that they be distributed in whole without editing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any questions for Nancy? Any comments from committee members or staff? Anna?
Hi, good evening. I'm although I work at DOT, I'm participating as a member of the public tonight. And it's in regards to walking routes for school-age children in the Anchorage area. You know, I have a 5-year-old, but before she was here, you know, I really didn't have a whole lot of particular interest in transportation for children and school age children, but obviously my mind, you know, expanded quite a bit after having a kid, and so I'm trying to make up for lost time and lost, you know, attention on this topic here. With the school board is meeting tomorrow evening once again and discussing different avenues for the school district to you know, make their budget whole. And unfortunately, you might have seen some things in the news, but walking routes are approved by the school district, and there is a transportation committee. And I just think would be really beneficial for folks that maybe aren't aware, like I wasn't aware, to consider walking some of those routes, particularly for schools in their neighborhood, and just get a feel for what through the lens of, you know, elementary and middle school age children. And I'll just put some links in the chat, and I just really hope that people will pay attention as this gets discussed, and keep in mind school children and families through any project, really, as they navigate the outside for walking routes, for anything really crossing our city. So I'll put those in the chat, and that's all I had for tonight.
Thank you. And so is that a link? Does the school district have on their website, do they show the walking routes for schools, for each of the schools?
Yes, they do. And they also have criteria for what would be considered, you know, a preferred plan, a preferred route. And they have, it's ranked, and they have a clear map you can link to every neighborhood school to see. So I will put that link in the chat as well. But I went through and looked at the different routes that for the schools that are proposed to be potentially closed, and what that might do for and not necessarily, even if the school district were to formalize a route to a neighborhood school that's different than it is now. As we know, pedestrians are like water. They're going to go the shortest logical route rather than some route on a map. And so, you know, this might impact projects, you know, and shift priorities. At least I would hope. Hold on, I'm talking. Shift priorities for projects and reconstruction, I guess, from what we have nicely in a plan versus the reality that's around us in a community once things get consolidated.
Thank you. Any questions for Anna? Joni, could you please send the links to the school district's online walking routes to the committee members with an email, just informing them that a member of the public commented this evening and wanted to share the link with the members of the committee and have, and so we could take a look at the walking routes.
Yeah, you bet. I will do that first thing tomorrow.
Thank you, Joni.
Sure.
And back to the issues that Nancy raised. So if Nancy sends her written comments to you and Aaron, then we can discuss how, we can share them with the committee as informational item, and then we can discuss how we can figure out if the committee wants to look at these items and submit comments. So we can discuss it once we review the written comments.
Yeah, no, sounds good. So I can send out what Nancy had sent out an email earlier this week to just several of the BPAC members, but not all of them. So I can either use that email, or if Nancy, if you want to send your comments again, I can forward that. I think staff, we also have some, or just some details about each of the comments that we can include as well, just to give folks an idea of what's already been discussed at policy and technical advisory committee meetings. But yeah, we can totally send those out to the committee for review. And if you guys want to schedule a work session or something to talk about those and submit comment, you're welcome to do that. How does that sound?
Perfect, thank you. Nancy, you
Great.
have your hand up. Is it still up, or did you have another comment?
Yes, I did send my comments already to Aaron on Thursday or Friday. So I have, when I spoke today, I added in additional comments regarding the carbon reduction program funding. So I will send that as a supplement.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comments? Any comments from members of the public? Any committee comments? We'll go back to committee comments, see if anybody has any comments. All right. Anything from staff or any of our DOT partners?
Nothing from me, unless any other AMAT staff has some parting comments. Thank you for your time tonight.
All right. And thanks to Aaron for showing up, although I think he did bail on us.
I think his I think his computer died. He sent me a text, so he's unfortunately yeah. So, but he was on for the most of the meeting. So.
Well, he is on vacation. Well, I won't ask for a motion to adjourn since we don't have a quorum. So I will just say good night and thank you all. It was a good meeting and we have some things to work on, and I look forward to advancing the discussion about prioritizing safety and design after the first of the year. I think that's going to be exciting if we can put together some sort of a public event.
Yeah,
Night.
absolutely.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Thanks everyone. Good night. Happy holidays to you.
Bye.